Yo, hey. Hopefully there's not
Yo,
too much laggy stuff. I know there has been some of that in the past. We are getting better every day. That's what we're trying to do here. This is Anime Parley. If you're here, thanks for being with us. Today we're talking about obviously the most important thing, One Piece, new chapter, chapter 1145. We're gonna get into it, but first it's your boy Killer Cam.
What up, y'all? Peace and blessings. This is Wild and Free.
yo, what's up? It's Mugiwara. Ready
And,
to go.
and thanks for being with us. Today we are talking about, like I said, chapter 1145. What's the name of the chapter again? It is The Blaze in Branch 8's Forest Number 2, which is a really weird title. So just to give a recap, I mean, to be honest, I mean, there's some like hype moments in here. I'm just going to highlight them, just quick overview, and then we'll get into like our thoughts and discussion on the actual chapter itself. But we kind of get introduced to some random dinosaur pops up. This is still kind of in the realm of the dead or whatever, the underworld, whatever they call it. It basically just attacks one of the members of the New Giant Pirates. I forget the dude's name. He's got the weird shield that turns out it's a homie. We'll get to that in a little bit as well. We get a little bit of like a cool kind of moment. I got to be honest. I love this, like, I don't want to spend too much time on it. We'll get into this later, but I love that Sanji and Zoro did like their dual attack. I wish there was a little
For
bit more
sure.
build up to it though, just because it's just such a rare moment and it just kind of happens.
It just came so fast.
Yeah.
His leg was already under him.
Yeah, it's like
I agree.
it's like page one. We're just getting into the chapter. It's like, whoa, like at least buy me dinner first, kind of thing. but but it's a cool moment. Like, and I do want to get into the art a little bit, just because the art is really cool. But I just wish it was a full page, just because it's split into like these three kind of cross sections. But whatever. Anyway, Zoro immediately kills this animal for for no reason.
Groggysaurus.
Yeah, the Groggysaurus, kind of for no reason, but whatever. They,
No, there's a reason.
I mean, they gotta
he's
eat
feeding the
whatever.
boy.
Yeah, they're
He's got Loki
hunting.
coming back.
Yeah. So we get that moment. There's just a little banter back and forth between Sanji and the Giant, who's actually the cook for the New Giant Warrior Pirates. Basically, Goldberg, thank you. Basically says, oh yeah, like, we have stuff, it's close by, we'll, basically cook this up. And then we find out that it's a homie. There's the kind of parallel between it and Zeus. So now we can understand that Zeus can survive, San's big mom. We don't know if she's alive, we don't know if she's dead, but basically he can just live on independently. Because I guess homies can do that for some reason. I need to go back and look at Whole Cake Island because I feel like...
Well, it's a soul. It's like a piece of the soul.
Yeah.
Like, put it into a being. It's not like
But from what we understand...
attached to the person anymore.
Yeah, but from what we understand, it's like all of them have the will to follow their creator. I don't know. I'll go back and look, but I swear I remember reading that homies basically had like complete deference to Big Mom, and there was nothing that, I mean, because even we saw
But no, I think that was like as they understood it, but that level could be broken.
Yeah.
Like
probably
Nami trumped that. Nami was like, yo, you're my cloud now.
Yeah.
You're
And it says,
but like, I don't know. We'll get into it, but I just think that is kind of a crappy devil fruit if like the things that you create can turn on you. Just like, well, whatever. We'll get to that. Anyways.
the craziest devil fruit. It's a
like,
crappy devil fruit.
Dude, okay. All right. So we will get to that. I want to just get to the chapter first. But like, anyway, so we get Loki. He's basically, it looks like he's still tied up by his legs. His arms are, no, it looks like his arms are possibly tied up. We can't really tell. He's laying down on pieces of wood for some reason.
He's just tired. It's only his leg that's still.
Yeah, I'm looking at his arms, and it like there's shackles coming away from the arm. It doesn't matter. Whatever. He's incapacitated. So we get a little bit of exposition of Luffy finding out that they're looking for the God's Knights. Right? Road basically lets everybody else know, hey, there's government officials here, and Luffy questions World Government Knights. So now he's being introduced to the concept of the God's Knights. Goldberg comes back with the Groggysaurus. Zoro immediately takes credit for having killed it. Sanji kind of makes this point of like, oh, yeah, I was a person who kind of helped you. We kind of get this like really interesting comedy routine from Luffy and Loki, where Loki expresses something like, I'm hungry or something like that. Luffy wants to help in some way and ends up making things worse, right? So he ends up grabbing hot meat from like, I guess the fire or wherever they're roasting it and smashes it onto Loki's face. Loki, we've seen this before. I don't remember exactly which character, but like the idea of Luffy trying to help with good intentions, but ultimately making things worse and causing the person pain. This has been it's like a common kind of comedic kind of trope, I guess.
Yeah.
But it is funny to see, and it's a comedic element of Loki that we really haven't seen too much of beyond.
That's hilarious.
Beyond where he like almost punched him in the face when they first met. But I do like the dynamic that they're setting between like Luffy being kind of, again, well-intentioned, good-willed, but ultimately kind of making things worse. And Loki being a more intelligent character and calling him out for it in a comedic way. So there's a couple different instances of this. It's the meat, it's the soup. We get a little funny moment from Gerd, who clearly doesn't really like Loki very much, and she gives him a thumbs up. That she enjoys Loki being kind of punished.
Nami energy.
Yeah, she actually, even like the character design is very Nami-like. So it looks like Loki gets up a little bit. He's beginning to talk about really just his relationship with Rox Diesebek, right? And there's this interesting moment where there is a parallel set between, because there's a moment where basically Loki says, you are a fan of red hair, I completely understand. And then Luffy says, oh, you know the feeling. And then Loki says, yeah, I do. And then he gets into a little mini flashback where he talks about basically, or we get to see that he idolized Rox Diesebek. For whatever reason, we don't really know how they met or what their relationship was like, if it extended beyond Rox rejecting him and beating him up. But for whatever reason, this is someone that Loki really respects and admires. We'll probably get a longer flashback as to why. I assume that maybe Oda doesn't want to reveal too much about Rox Diesebek. We're still in silhouette territory.
He was just the Pirate King of that time, or the leader of that time. It wasn't like just like a random situation that he just liked Rox Diesebek. Like he was the best pirate of that time.
Sure, yeah. So
is what I'm seeing in that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So yeah, we get that moment. There's this bold kind of panel where Loki specifically says, I was born in the wrong era, which is interesting. We'll get back into that and kind of maybe what that means and why he said it and what we can kind of infer from it. But then we get to Dory and Bragi, and they're basically still fighting out these imagined nightmare kind of creatures from the giant children. Scopper's still doing work. He's basically saying like, man, this is crazy. I guess, Elbaf is getting attacked, obviously. We then get this moment where Jinbe is basically like, MVP again, right? You kind of had his moment in Wano, technically twice, because he got them through the little current. Then again, when he threw the water through all of Onigashima, like in terms of the castle, we're getting that moment again with him kind of throwing the sea cloud, which I guess kind of acts as water, into the kind of like raging fire, like on this branch that even the giants are unable to put out, which is actually really cool, specifically because I'm excited to see this in the anime because of the scale of it. Because, this is like a huge branch. I can't fathom what this will look like. If it put out the fire, it's got to be a huge torrent of sea cloud. So, that's like a pretty impressive feat. I wish that there was a little bit more scale that we could see within the panels, but it is what it is. That's just what the benefit of watching the anime is. But basically, he saves these sleepwalking children. They're about to run into the fire. We get this moment where St. Summers and Gunko are talking about what'll actually happen. Clearly, St. Summers is meant to be like this sadist. He's laughing that, these children are going to be hurt and burned and, die basically in front of their parents. Gunko is extremely, like almost robotic and very direct in saying what will happen. Jinbe saves them, right? Because he does this crazy current shoulder throw. And then basically, kind of puts the, giant firemen people out of a job for a little bit and just really, if you will, in front of the rest of the giants. I might bleep that out. We'll see.
No, I'll leave it.
But there's a there's a nice moment where the Straw Hats, at least this is one of my favorite moments of the chapter, where Chopper immediately recognizes Robin just now, wasn't that? And then Robin says, yes, that was Jinbe. He must be nearby. It's just a kind of a cool moment where they acknowledge each other and they feel each other's presence and they know how to make an impactful moment Even just, quick decision making or whatever, even when they're on their own. Anywho,
Mm-hmm.
so basically we then cut back to kind of, our other, let's say third, I think. No, fourth group of the Straw Hats. It's Brooke, it's Jinbe, it's Usopp, it's Nami, and it's Cullen. They're all on the ship. They were looking for trouble. Mr. Wild and Free, I'll give it to you. You called this out in terms of a direct confrontation with the antagonist of this arc. And they're confronted by Gunko, who is now sitting or standing on the mast of the ship. It looks like she used her arrow kind of powers. We don't have a name for this yet. Parameci type. It is kind of weird that we can see her panties. That's a little a little inappropriate. I'm just gonna say that, but it is what it is. I'm not mad at it. We are on break next week, but we are left in a cliffhanger in which the at least a fourth of the Straw Hat crew is in a direct confrontation with one of the guys in ice, and we will see very quickly what she is capable of. And I've got a hunch. I'm just going to put this out. I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. I think Cullen is going to get kidnapped. I think before the end of this arc, he's going to be the person who gets kidnapped. They might not get all the giant children. I don't think they will, but they will probably get him.
Yeah.
And
I see that.
I think that's going to embroil, obviously, Scopper and the Straw Hats and the giant warriors and all this other kind of stuff in this more direct confrontation with the world government. But that's the recap for the week. Guys, thoughts?
Yeah. Loved
Mr.
it.
Wild and Free, you want to hit it first?
Sure.
Do you have any
Appreciate
ideas?
that,
Pause.
Mugiwara. Pause. No, all right. Listen, this chapter was great. I loved everything about it, except... Nah, there's nothing I'm just kidding. There's nothing I didn't like about it. I was really fascinated by the homie situation with Goldberg and the shield. Like, that was something that stuck with me throughout the rest of the chapter. Like, regardless of how hype everything else was, like, I absolutely loved seeing Loki and Luffy kind of have that humorous moment. To your point, Cam, like, this is not something that gets visualized if Oda was not intentionally trying to humanize a character and make them feel more on the side of allyship, right? And so, even amidst all of that greatness happening, the shield stuck with me for some reason. The homie shield that Goldberg had, and it for some reason made me think about something I hadn't thought about before with Big Mom. Is what happens when the user of her soul fruit or whatever it's called dies, right? Like, do those souls continue to live on? And if so, are there other homies that have existed in the world beyond just Big Mom, right? Like, imagine like the user of this devil fruit before her.
Right.
Are there homies that were brought to life by that devil fruit that are still existing in the world? So that's something that randomly came to my mind after seeing the shield. Yes, I know that this did emerge from a clash with Big Mom, but that is what was inspired in me for some reason. And to the point we were making before, I do think that yes, by default there is a proclivity, like an internal compass that would make these homies have fealty to their creator. But to Mugiwara's point, right? Like, it is a soul imbued within an object. There is some level of autonomy present within that soul, right? And so I think that to see evidence of another homie out there that has its own autonomy and has chosen to be a partner to Goldberg, someone separate than Big Mom, it just really gives a different look at her powers. And really, I think I also thought about the clash between Aokiji and Sakazuki, if I said that right. Like on Punk Hazard, where their powers like permanently changed the landscape, right? And so when I think about the concept of permanence as it pertains to a devil fruit's power, this is another way that we are able to visualize this now in a way that we may not have been able to conceptualize before. And so now it made me even think like, oh, well, what about Dressrosa when Doflamingo turned part of the earth into strings, right? Does it remain that way? So I'm wondering if it's like a power level related thing or what, but yeah, made me think a lot about permanence in regards to devil fruit powers. And so yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Everything else in the chapter was great. Loved seeing Loki's flashback. The nightmare things. This is confirmation in this chapter that there were multiple of each one of those nightmares, right? So there were multiple Draugrs and multiple whatever. So that was something fascinating to see, like how many of them are actually being conjured. It wasn't just like a one of each type situation. And yeah, like I feel like Gunko is in a really interesting space right now, because she is directly interfacing with the Straw Hats for the first time. But yeah, she doesn't look too happy about Colin, so I might agree with you, Cam.
All right, Mugiwara, you're up.
So when it comes, I just want to preface with, I want to kind of like see what you guys' viewpoint is. When it comes to Big Mom's fruit, when she's like taking a soul, people fear her. She has control. She takes a soul. Is she able to put them in a homie? Or is it all from her own soul?
I like that. That's a good consideration.
Genuinely curious because there's so many homies. Sorry, bleep that out later. There's so many darn homies that like it can't all be from her own soul. So like, for you bring up a good point. There's should be homies from the past that have gone forward through the soul fruit. I really loved the shield of that they just, this was the first homie we're seeing outside of Whole Cake, and bro, that guy was like, Zeus? Zeus is a legendary homie. And like Zeus is the most legendary homie. And then they were like, oh, hilarious. Our navigator owns homie now. You used to know it under Big Mom. And it was just like, that person must have been like, who are the Straw Hats? Like how bad are the Straw Hats? You know what I mean?
For sure.
I just thought that was I thought that was super cool. Like you're adding in like, when would we have ever expected to have seen another homie? Like we weren't thinking about that. They're like laying out that like through the past, this giant's father was fighting Big Mom, going hunting her, and had armor, all these things, these crazy interactions that homies are being made, and I inherited this from my father or something like that. So cool. Another point I thought was really cool about this chapter was kind of how they're playing upon Loki. And, we've been expecting Loki to be such a villain and all these things, but he's interacting really well on Luffy's level. Like, they're both making jokes, and he's fitting in perfectly fine. Like, Luffy's coming up, smashing his face with some meat. He's like, oh, you're burning me. And then Luffy is running to grab some gravy. He's ready to pour it in his mouth. By the time everyone else comes to Loki, Loki's all burned up. Luffy's had his way with him. But at the same time, Luffy's had his way with him because he's so determined to meet Shanks, to hear about Shanks. Like, he's like pushing to like do everything that he can for Loki, but he's doing it in Luffy's way, which is feeding you and like doing all this crazy stuff. I thought that was amazing. The cooking. Sanji was just sitting side by side with another giant while they cooked for Loki. I was wondering, like, did Sanji have any viewpoints? Was he curious about that at all? We were going to get into Big Mom's Devil Fruit, but we didn't. Gunko. I brought this up previously. I said she's cracked. You guys laughed at me. I want to lay down another level of that. She's showing up. She noticed what the weakness is right now, and she saw Colin and all the Straw Hats. She shows up on their bow. Dude, as far as what Luffy's doing with the Paramecia and what he's done in the past, it is malleable as a fruit. When you have something that is a zone, anything that's super powerful any kind of fruit. From what we have seen in the brief chapters of Elbaf, she has defense, she has offense, and she has manipulation. Like, from what she can do, you're swinging at her. Let's say you're Luffy. You're throwing your rubber arm. She needs just a iota of moving your arm out of her direction in the slightest way. Like, then you miss, then she hits you. She can grow. She can do all these things. I think she's going to be one of the more battle intellects that we see going forward. The manipulation part is what draws me. Like, within a sec, even if, like, you have a high level of hockey and she can't control you too much, just to move you 1 millimeter, a centimeter in a fight, you're throwing a bow and you miss her and she comes in underneath or whatever, it's going to be hacks. That's all I have from the moments today, but I think overall an amazing chapter. We're still moving forward, and we got Scopper Gaban on lock.
Yeah, no, facts. Real quick, when you brought up Gunko and like the passive abilities of like the paramecia, one thing I also thought about is like, well, remember, Vegapunk said the limits of a devil fruit are solely the imagination of the user, right? And so with Gunko, with her arrow fruit, and the point that you just made about her going directly to Colin and the weaker Straw Hats, right? I think that there might be some passive traits there with her that allows her to see the direct path to success or victory or whatever it is that they are currently working on, right? Like an ability to see, like, okay, what is the quickest? Yes, that points her directly to, okay, where do I need to be in this moment in order to get the exact results that I want to see?
Dude, that would be cracked, dude.
Yeah.
You're just moving all over the battlefield in the most opportune places.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna stick fruit because we've seen so much already. Her legs have grown lengths. She's been able to fight a giant. She's able to move things. Like it's.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's one of those mobility things. You might think it might be small level of power, but then that person has some genius level battle.
Yeah, and
like,
that battle intellect for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it just kind of goes without saying. Paramecia type devil fruits are the most versatile and interesting of all of One Piece. And I'm just going to put that out there.
Sure, yeah.
I know that Logia are cool. Like, I was thinking about this as you guys were talking. If you were to ask me, who do I think is the best, or who uses their devil fruit the best, like gets the most out of it, has the best utilization?
Bonchan.
No. Doflamingo. Doflamingo with the string fruit.
Yeah.
This dude, like, let's just think about what he's able to do with just strings. He can fly. Let's just start there. He can fly.
That's insane.
He can basically create an impenetrable, like, even Fujitora, who's an admiral, couldn't do anything about it. Like, he can make an impenetrable closing cage.
But Fujitora is Paramecia as well, right?
Yeah, but like, I'm just saying, like, the point being is, like, he's able to do even things that are extremely powerful, even as, like, a Shichibukai that's not even at the status of, like, a Yonko, right? He's able to make a clone of himself that looks exactly the same as him and, like, can take damage and can, I think it's implied it can use haki, right? Or at least he can imbue haki within it. He can heal himself. Like, internal organs.
Stitching himself.
He can, like, literally heal himself and, like, stitch his organs together. And then, we're not even talking about the awakening of his fruit and just pulling, effectively, strings and weapons. He can immobilize you. He can force, like, operate your body like a puppet. Like, his devil fruit is crazy when you really think about it. And I'm probably
like the
leaving
average
some
person
things
that
off.
has that devil fruit would probably not be able to contemplate a quarter of those ideas.
And honestly, I would say that Luffy is up there as well. I mean, technically, it's not a paramecia, whatever, right? Like, it's a Zoan, it's a Zoan, whatever. I mean, but like, let's say it's like getting rid of Pluto. But like, prior to that reveal, Luffy was also able to use his devil fruit to probably a degree that we've never seen anybody utilize it. Because I feel like Logias, they're lazy. I think Kuma, like, just has an OP devil fruit.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, being able to like teleport people away just by going like that is insane. But that's not really like you're not. That's just the abilities of the fruit. You're not really like doing anything clever with it. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I would say that there was some versatility and some clever applications of Kuma and his powers, right? Like the ability to like push the pain out of an individual and then take that pain and then push it onto someone else. Like the ability to kind of like
the ability of the fruit.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I guess I'm saying
I don't know.
I'm saying the application of the fruit is the interesting thing.
He, from our viewpoint, could be a professional of that fruit, and you may not have understood that the fruit even could have done that previously.
Right, exactly. Because it's only the repel fruit, right? Basically.
Yeah, like, dude, like the way the applications that fruit has cannot be defined by just Kuma being able to do all of them. And in our first viewing, like, he may have had to learn all of that.
No, I understand that.
Time.
I guess I'm saying if you're looking at, say, Doflamingo, right? What is the base ability of his fruit? You can control strings. Let's just say broadly you can control people, right? What he's able to do, I mean, one, he can like cut people's arms off. And I mean, obviously we saw that with Law. So it has like offensive capabilities.
Rainbow
but
string and all that.
He has the ability to control people, let's just say on like a base level. But then applying that, right? So like now it's a new application of something that exists. Being able to apply that too, and I do want to do like a separate full video on this so we can move on to another topic and maybe talk more about things about the chapter. But him being able to apply that to like, okay, I'm going to control the cloud by virtue as like being able to fly, right? And it looks like he just runs in the air, which is insane. Or, you know, using that application to, you know, I'm going to control my organs. I'm going to restitch them up. I'm going to control an actual string puppet or whatever. Like, that is such an interesting novel application of, I mean, it's the same thing with like Luffy. It's like your body's made out of rubber, but somehow you've transmuted that into, now you can pump your body's nutrients.
Luffy's different. He didn't know. It wasn't a rubber fruit.
Well, right.
He was a Looney Tune fruit.
Yeah, no. I understand the retcon. I guess I'm just saying, like, the actual abilities of the fruit.
I don't think that was a retcon.
Like, well, just the standard. I think it is, but like the standards of the fruit, right? You've now been able to apply that to like really interesting, novel applications of it. But I do want to talk about. I don't know. I mean, for the most part, if you guys are listening, obviously you are, and thanks for making it this far in the video. You know, for the most part, the chapter was good. It was entertaining. Not a ton happened, so we are kind of just talking about things that are interesting. With that being said, I don't know. I mean, with Gunko, like I said, I think that it'll be interesting to see, because, you know, she's a female character. It'll be interesting to see if, like, Oda does a proper turn and, like, you know, sets her up to potentially be redeemed in some way. Maybe the same can be said of killing him. Obviously, you know, Saint Summers is kind of done things and acted in ways that are kind of beyond the pale. Like, he revels in children potentially being hurt or killed or anything like that.
Like love.
Which is kind of crazy, because it's like, aren't you guys, the whole mission is to kidnap the children alive? Like, why are you relishing in killing them? It doesn't even make any sense. You're going to fail your mission if they die.
Man. They're weird.
They're like, it makes no sense.
He has a level of indifference that is like,
it's like,
he's like, as long as there's like love involved, he like,
but it's like, shouldn't you be putting out the fire yourselves, or maybe redirecting them with the arrow so that they don't get so that they don't get killed? It doesn't make any sense.
They'll get the next round of kids to go through after the fire.
But still, though,
the whole entire thing, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's like, because Gunko should be able to, because based on what we've seen of her fruit, she should be able to like point an arrow that moves maybe below the branch, but because it's powered by the arrow is like, you know, kind of defying gravity in a way, right? Like, I think that'd be interesting. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe she can't do that, but either way,
that'd be a whole new thing, though.
I mean, she's doing crazy stuff already. She's like dictating how people can move. Is she
defying if people can walk upside down and they wouldn't be falling?
I mean, we can imply that she flew to like basically get up to the ship that is flying in the air currently. That she just basically.
The thing is, she's controlled everybody that hasn't been able to have control. She controlled Loki, was like kicking him and doing all these things. He was inside of being
chains
in the chains.
Yeah,
she's controlling all these kids. They're asleep. Like, nobody has ever been controlled by her arrows. yet
directly that has autonomy.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the point is like either way, like she is able to manipulate people through her arrows. To your point, maybe that are unconscious or not in control of their bodies. That
if
does
she can control them even for half a second. It's cracked because someone punches her and she controls them. I missed. I'm getting uppercut by some weird arrow leg or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just think she has so much defense, offense, and manipulation. It's so weird. I don't know.
Mr. Waterford, go ahead.
I'm sorry. There was something else that we did not talk about in this chapter that I want to unpack a little bit. Scopper Gabon, he was like, oh, there's more than I thought. Like, he was mentioning the voices, right? His like strange voices that can't be suppressed. Is that the voice of all things? Like,
it was three.
He was talking about the God's Knights.
It was the three God's Knights.
But how is he hearing them from where he is, and why was it phrased in that way?
I think it's hockey.
Kind of what I'm thinking about.
No, it was a hockey thing. He sensed them. They were trying to be quiet. The way that they write it is a little bit different after the translation.
Like I think he means like not literal voices, but obviously like their presence. I think that can be attributed to like observation hockey,
he's like,
kind of awareness.
They're trying to hide themselves, but I feel them anyway. And it's the three of them, and they can't hide themselves from me. But,
I mean,
how effective.
The other thing too is like this is an antagonistic force that I will be just color me shocked if they have anything beyond armament hockey. They should not have Conqueror's hockey. If they have Conqueror's hockey, I will be like, everybody's got Conqueror's hockey now. It's just then honestly, that is going to lend itself more though to the idea.
I couldn't see like Killingham could have it. He's a dragon fruit. Like he's insane. Maybe one has it, but I would agree with you. Like they all shouldn't have that shit. Dude. Like,
what I'll say is this. I will say that I wouldn't be surprised if any one of them had Conqueror's hockey, but I will say to what level, right? And because the reason why I bring that up is Zoro has Conqueror's hockey, but it is in such a way that it is like purely a part of his fighting style and an application of his swordsmanship that Conqueror's hockey emerges, right? And so I think if it was applied in that way, rather than it being something like how Luffy, commands Conqueror's hockey, right? Where he can just be like, oh no, y'all going to sleep right now. Like that's a different level of Conqueror's hockey than what something like Zoro has, who did that unintentionally, right? Like he kind of had a moment where it was just like, yo, like I'm stepping into my fighter's mode and it just so happened to activate. And so I knocked out all of these lackeys. But for any one of them to have a level
Zoro
of Conqueror's
knocked
hockey,
people out from like
it absolutely happened in his fight with King.
He knocked out a bunch of crew.
Yep, there were beast pirates that were like running up on him, and it was that moment when Enma was like draining his power, and he was like, "Oh, you know what? Like, I'm gonna just give it all to you then." And then when his aura changed to green and he stood up, all of those pirates just dropped behind him.
Can't wait to find out more about that. Hell,
yeah, that was in the anime. You get to really see things in the anime. Yeah.
King of Hell, bro.
So all I'm saying is that I wouldn't be surprised if any one of them had Conqueror's hockey, but to the level in which they can utilize it. If it's on the level of something like Luffy,
Dude,
I don't think they should.
Even Dragon himself said the real challenge would come from all the God's Knights.
Well, the idea is like, but the idea is that, and this has been stated, of course, but Conqueror's hockey is a 1 in a million. Like you're just born with it. It's not something that you can develop.
Well, yeah, but if you think about a world that has a billion people, we don't know that they have a billion people. We don't know how many people they have.
No, yeah, we're getting like a concentrated vision of like the most exponentially strong characters.
Exactly.
Yeah, throughout the whole show. Like there's other people that might have it. Like they're out in the world.
Yeah. I guess my thing is that the problem, and we've talked about this in our hockey video, which I don't know, maybe is published at this time or not. If not, guys, if you're listening, it will be published soon. The question, is, has hockey basically created a new power scaling that makes Devil Fruits kind of irrelevant? And obviously Devil Fruits still play a very large part of the story, just in terms of the way they can affect the plot. Perfect example is, for instance, killing him, putting the kids to sleep. That's a big plot point, right?
Yeah.
And can only be could only happen, or at least is interesting in the way that it's happening because of a devil fruit, whatever, right? But that being said, we know that the level of power that the Straw Hats are at, particularly Luffy and particularly Zoro, particularly because they have Conqueror's Haki, they have reached a ceiling of power that is at the upper limits. And we know that anybody who is going to compete with them, Scopper, Rayleigh, the Admirals, whatever, are going to have Conqueror's Haki, period. Just because of the applications of Conqueror's Haki, whether that's, advanced Conqueror's Haki, whatever, that's the level that people are playing at. So,
dude, Kim, you're not... You're looking at Haki as always beating devil fruits, and that's not the situation. I disagree. Like, if you look at Garp, you picture Garp, he's the strongest beast Haki guy ever.
Sure.
Like, there is an invisible fruit that can stab him from behind and beat him.
Fair.
And, like, that's just, like, one fruit out of the many
Hold on, wait,
bro.
Okay, hold on. Just stop for a second. This
Like,
is what
you're
Garp
looking
did.
at-
Let me get it out, bro. This is what Garp did. Garp basically soloed, minus Blackbeard, the entirety of the Blackbeard pirates, minus Blackbeard, including Aokiji, including him.
Yeah.
That is without any devil fruit. So you cannot make the argument that like, he was like got stabbed in the back. Dude, he was soloing all of them and was like fatigued from also fighting an admiral. Like, what are you talking
Here's
about?
what
If
I'm
it
saying.
was, and he's old.
I
If
agree.
it's like, bro,
No,
that was the
I
craziest feat
agree.
we've seen in like the New World, by the way. Like,
I agree.
Rayleigh couldn't
No.
even do that. Rayleigh could not.
Absolutely
I don't think
badass.
solo at his age, he could not solo the Blackbeard pirates, including an admiral. And it's not like Aokiji is old. Like Aokiji is like still considered in his prime. He's like 40 something years old, I think, in the world of One Piece.
For sure.
Like what Garp did is insane. His feats were
Garp
insane.
is the most insane. That's why I'm bringing this up.
Yeah.
But I want you to know that like just having Haki is not trumping the fact that other people have devil fruits, especially the Paramecia range of it, like of what you're actually dealing with is altering reality. Like,
give me an example
if
in the world of One Piece. Give me an example.
I'm going to talk about
someone
exactly what
who
we're
doesn't
talking
have
about now.
someone who doesn't have Conqueror's Haki beating somebody who has Conqueror's Haki. Just give me an example.
No, I'm going to talk to you about. I'm going to talk to you about what we're talking about right now. Garp versus Aokiji. Like, dude, you have one person that has a devil fruit that is insane. Aokiji, the craziest ice devil fruit. He can do whatever. He was fighting 1v1 against Garp. He's able to throw ice at him. He's able to fight from a distance. Garp, like, if you're having a poke, like, if you're in any type of ranged situation, you're fighting from a range, and you're throwing icicles at somebody, like, even if they're stopping them, you're still at an advantage. That's just like a 1v1 standpoint. Like, he's throwing icicles, Garp's fighting against him, coming at him, he's creating all this crazy stuff with his devil fruit. Then, at the same time, he's on a little bit lower level, been doing the boat bag, fighting boats, and he has the strength of the Haki. He has all that. Like, if you don't have the devil fruit, you're not Blackbeard. You don't have the advantage. Like, you have a devil fruit and you have Haki? Like, bro, like, you just having Haki? Hilarious. Get out of town. I can alter your reality. I can send you through a portal. Like, I can do whatever I want. I'm a Paramecia, dude.
Except
like,
we know
you're just a human.
Except we know in two instances. So, okay, perfect example. Garp gets encased in ice. Guess what he does? Uses Haki, just breaks out of it. Law.
He lost.
Is turned into a girl. Like, literally turned into a female.
Turned into a girl.
Reality warped. He gets turned into a girl and then basically just like, Haki, and then busts out of it.
Yeah.
Right. So
you can say like
Aokiji also has Haki,
but please back up from
also
that mic. Take a step back from the mic.
Sorry, baby. I love you.
No, you're good.
That's
You're good.
hilarious. Y'all are hilarious.
Step away from the mic.
Listen. So, all right.
I told you I was coming in strong.
Right? If it was just, a devil fruit user with no Haki versus somebody that only has Haki, yes, I think the hockey user would win.
Agreed.
If it was a hockey and devil fruit user against someone with just hockey, it levels the playing field absolutely, right? Depending on the strength of the hockey, right, determines who would win. So that's to Cam's point, right? Like it's the hockey that is ultimately going to call which way that match goes. But then to your point, Mugiwara, the thing that happened with Shiryu, like I get what you were trying to articulate there, right? Is that okay, there are certain advantages that paramecias or devil fruits in general can present in a battle that hockey cannot just de facto wipe away, right? Like there's going to have to be a level of work there in that battle for their hockey to make a difference in how that fight resolves, right? And so Shiryu is a great example of that because if he is invisible, you got to have some damn good observation hockey in order to, identify where he's at, right? Yes, we know Garp was outnumbered. He was, it was not just a 1v1 in that scenario, and he was absolutely taken advantage of. But to the point, there are going to be times where devil fruit powers present so much of a threat in the fight against hockey that it can't just be cast aside as like a non-factor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know,
like imagine like Blackbeard going against the homie with the teleport fruit. Like you're not touching that guy.
You think that
he's gonna teleport away, dude.
But you think that, and then obviously Oda writes it where Blackbeard just uses the Yami Yami no Mi, attracts him, and then boom, he's done. So, and I know I'm using a devil fruit as an example.
What's the homie in Impel Down? Never lost a. Never lost a darn
the
fight.
Poison guy.
Never lost a darn.
I'm gonna have to put
fight.
so many censor bleeps.
Even against Blackbeard, even against
anybody
volumes.
Right.
All right.
No, you're good. It's just like the levels are just crazy
I want there to be understood that I understand hockey is the best, but like there are devil fruits out there that are altering reality.
Okay, I mean, okay, all right.
You're
to be
dealing
fair,
with somebody
to be fair,
that
to
is
be
gonna
fair,
just.
To be fair, I'm gonna give it to. I'm gonna give you the point in the sense of if you are a good hockey user and you are fighting and you're fighting Kuma, right?
Yeah,
Kuma can just teleport you away. I mean, it is what it is. We haven't seen an example of like hockey resisting that because it's just so quick.
My
and such
wife once backhanded me like Kuma. All right.
Okay, so anything else in the relation to this chapter? I do want to get into the Soul fruit, but we have other things to record. I do want to table that because the way that the Soul fruit works is like kind of stupid. I used to think it was kind of broken, and I think it is broken, but it's also broken.
It's very broken.
It's broken, but it has like a back end that just makes it glitch, and that back end is that it can create living beings that won't listen to you for some reason, but whatever. But I do want to get to Gear 4th in like this one's gonna get real rowdy. So we're gonna transition to the next video. If you guys were watching, thank you. Obviously, we are here to just talk about One Piece. We love it. I love it. I will be critical of it because I love it. These guys love it. They'll sometimes agree with me. Most of the time disagree with me.
Never.
But obviously, if you guys love it, if you disagree with us, if you want to add your own comments, something that I mean, personally, we will react and respond to all comments, so like, subscribe, all that other kind of stuff. If there's something that you want us to talk about, if there's a hot take that you have in relation to this is awesome or this is great or this is underrated or this doesn't get enough credit or whatever, let us know in the comments. And yeah, we'll talk about it and we'll shoot the stuff with you guys as well. This is your boy, Killer Cam.
Peace and blessings, y'all. It's Wild and Free. Almost hit my 2-mile mark. Peace and blessings.
This guy.
Yo, it's Mugiwara.
All right, and stay tuned for our next video. We've got some hot topics to discuss surrounding the infamous, I'm going to call it infamous, Gear 4th. And we're excited for some reactions. So, get ready to flame us in chat. Yeah, get ready with the flame button because you're going to be wanting to use it. So we'll see you guys next time.
Stop walking for that one.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to get a drink with you. You're gonna have to have a nice cold drink with some ice cubes in it. All right, but it's been Anime Parley, and thanks for sticking with us, and we'll see you next time. Peace.